To properly set a bump on a swager, there's a procedure that you should go through. You want to make sure that your shims are ground to size based on the stack up within the machine. So each machine has a defined stack up between the rolls and the roll cage that you want to kind of measure up to. So your hammers, your dies, and your shims combined should all equal the height of all those products should equal the height of the stack up. So the best way to set the bump on a swager is to put the hammers in the machine, put the dies and shims in the machine, and then physically manually try to rotate the flywheel with the machine powered off, and try to rotate that over all the rolls in the roll cage. There's three kind of conditions you'll get when you're setting the bump. The first is when you're manually rotating that flywheel, you're going to physically get stuck and you can't get over the hump or the rolls. That's called over shimming. So what you'll have to do there is take the 2 shims out or 4 shims out, depending on a 2-die or 4-die machine, and grind those further and allow for more movement when you're rotating that flywheel. The other condition is under shimming, which when you're physically or manually turning that flywheel in the back, you won't feel any sort of resistance. So you're allowed to turn that flywheel and you never feel any kind of bump or any kind of movement when you're going over the rolls. Again, you'll have to remove those shims, whether it's a 2-die or 4-die, the 2 shims or 4 shims, and these ones you'll actually have to replace and make thicker because they're too small for that proper bump. The third condition is when you're correctly set up and you have a proper bump or a correct bump, and that's when you rotate the flywheel manually with the machine powered off, and every time you hit a roll you feel a little bit of resistance, but not enough to stop you. I relate it to kind of the speed bumps on a highway when you're kind of veering off the highway and you feel that sensation. That's the exact sensation you should feel when you're setting the bump properly. So as you manually are rotating that flywheel, every time you hit a roll, whether it's the 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock position, kind of similar to a face of a clock, you'll feel that resistance, and then you're able to go over that. So it's a doom, da doom, doom, da doom, da doom. But that's really the correct way to set a bump.